Hello, and welcome to this episode of Lift Every Voice, a program of the Louisville branch NAACP, in which we seek to inform our community of the issues that are facing our community, how we can work together to make our community a lot better. As you know, the NAACP has among its mission securing the economic, educational, and civil rights of every individual. That work is not done solely by the NAACP. We do it in conjunction with several of our partners. These partners have signed MOUs with the national office, and we have over 40 partners. Today, I'm privileged to have with me two representatives of one of our partners, and it is representatives for the Louisville chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. I'd like to introduce Sharon Baker and Sharon Bond. Sharon Bond is, in fact, the chair of the Louisville Alumni Chapter Social Action Committee. And then Sharon Baker is, in fact, the state coordinator for social action for Delta Sigma Theta. Yes. You know, I was joking earlier with an individual when I came in and said, if you want something done, get a group of hard-working women together and you are able to accomplish a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And there's no doubt that Delta Sigma Theta in this community and really across this nation have done a number of great things. And we're privileged to have these two young ladies with us. Let me just start by you just introducing yourselves and telling us a little about you, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of discussion. Sharon.
Yes, Dr. Burse, thank you. And I'd like to begin by saying we're delighted to be here and excited about our partnership. I'm Sharon Bond, and I am working with the Social Action Committee of the Louisville Alumnae Chapter this year. And I am succeeding Sharon Baker, who was the chair for 7 years. So those are pretty big shoes to fill, but I'm excited to be tackling our legislative priorities for this year, which we'll talk more about today.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting us. I'm Sharon Baker, and as Dr. Burse says, I am the state social action coordinator for Delta Sigma Theta. That means that I have the responsibility of every collegiate chapter and alumni located in the state in Kentucky in making sure that they accomplish the goals that were set by our National Social Action Commission. I have, as Sharon Bond has said, Bond, that I have worked as the social action chair for the chapter for over 7 years, and I gladly hand it over to a worthwhile, worthy soror in Sharon Bond. I've been knowing her for quite a long time, and she does get the job done.
Okay.
Appreciate the confidence.
Well, let's jump right into it. One of the areas in which the NAACP has spent an awful lot of energy, that is in the area of voting rights, voting registration, and get out the vote. One of the partners who's been at the table with us for all of your 7 years has been Delta Sigma Theta. Why don't you tell us about some of the activities that Delta Sigma Theta has undertaken over the years, and approximately how many people have you all registered, because your records are very, very good.
Yes. And I'm going to yield first to, I'll start off with the 7 years, and then I'll hand it off to my partner, Sharon Bond. So it goes back when I first became the social action chair for Louisville Alumnae. And we were right in the midst of the voting frenzy. And what we did was, I just said, what is it that we can do to help get out the vote? And getting out the vote is more than calling on the day of elections. It means a lot of planning and a lot of work prior to. And that's what Delta was interested in doing. First, we got to get to the people. And tell you some of the things that we did do. I'll let Sharon share with you some of the things we did, and I might fill in, but I'm going to let her take it.
Sure. We had a multi-pronged approach to voter registration and voter engagement. And one of the things that we did last year, which we believe was very successful, was we had a voter registration motorcade. And we had sorors from throughout the Louisville area. We had over 200 cars in the motorcade. And we took to the polls, and we helped people to register to vote. We, in effect, just made sure that people who were voting felt comfortable being there, comfortable in that environment. And prior to that, we worked to get the word out in the community about the importance of voting. So the voter registration through the motorcade was very successful. We also had phone-a-thons where we would call people and talk to them about the importance of voting. And one thing I want to to bring home about social action is that social action is woven into every facet of what Delta does. It is one of our primary focus areas. So though we may have several committees within the Louisville Alumnae chapter, educational development, physical and mental health, every major event that those committees hold within our community, social action has a presence. We are there. We are voting, registering voters. We are talking to people about voter engagement. We are at churches. After church service, you may see our tables where we're talking to people and encouraging people to vote. One of the things that our Educational Development Committee is doing this year is working with young people, teenagers who are in high school, and talking to them about some things that they need to do to be successful in social action. We'll be at the table talking to them about the importance of being good community citizens and voting and learning about those things that have an impact on their success. So again, a multi-pronged approach to talking to people about voting.
You know, throughout all of what you have talked about, one of the things that I think we sometimes lose sight of, particularly here in Louisville and in Kentucky, is when we talk about voter registration, for the most part, we talk about doing something during the election season, that period of time. Mm-hmm. What has been really nice to watch is the things you talk about with the Delta is you all have had a multi-pronged approach, but you've done it year round. So it isn't just at election time or right. when you need to register a bunch of individuals. It is that you're engaged year round. You know, one of the beauties of what has happened in Georgia is, and with Stacey Abrams is that she and her organization have taken that same kind of approach in Georgia, and we see what the results are in terms of what is taking place there. So having you all engaged and involved in doing that. One of the other things, you know, you're talking about I guess two things I want to highlight in terms of Deltas, in terms of where you are, is number one is on election day. We actually had some Deltas in the NAACP office doing calls, but there was this little friendly competition among Deltas across the city with texting back and forth and pictures and all of that. And it was a fun day.
Yes. You know, we were also part of the election protection. Mm-hmm. In fact, we were the majority of people at every site, making sure people's rights were not violated, or if they felt that they were violated or were turned away, we were right there on the spot to help. And that was an added thing for us this year, to be a part of the voter election protection team. So
it makes a real difference when you have that level of engagement in terms of things we're taking forward. But let me sort of, I guess, continue on the election front. Okay. One of the big things that is going to happen this year, or at least happen next January with the Kentucky General Assembly, that is redistricting. Yes. Redistricting is a big issue in terms of where we are. When you look at the population or census information that's come back, the rural areas of Kentucky have lost a lot of population, and the urban areas have gained a lot of people. Exactly. So tell me what your plans are for redistricting and what you're going to be involved in there.
One of the near-term things that we're going to be involved in is we are partnering with the League of Women Voters on a redistricting forum that will be held on October the 18th. And it's going to be at the Lang House, but people who cannot make that meeting in person, and it's an informational session to learn about the importance of redistricting and fair maps. But people who can't make that session will have an opportunity to participate via Zoom, and the session will be recorded. So that's one way that we want to get the word out. And we're looking at opportunities to have other forums within the community to talk about and educate people on the importance of redistricting. Soror Sharon Baker participates in a periodic call with our national officers and regional officers on the subject of redistricting.
Yes, my charge
Tuesdays.
Is that for every chapter, and as I've said, I have 6 collegiate chapters and I have the alumni chapters. We're in Paducah, we're in Murray, we're talking about WK, Western Kentucky University, U of L, U of K. Then we talk about Hopkinsville. Okay. And we have we have Bowling Green, we have Fort Knox, we have Lexington, we have Frankfort, Louisville, Lexington, we have Northern Kentucky. All these chapters they have been their mission is to have an educational public forum on the importance of what redistricting is and what we can do to possibly influence how the maps are being drawn, to the point where, look at your area. What do you think your map should look like? Also to petition to have public forums from our Kentucky legislator, because a lot of people don't know that they don't have to talk to us to draw the maps.
Right.
They are
That's
in
right.
charge. And because there's a supermajority of Republicans, it's supermajority, they can draw the maps, even though our governor can veto. It's a supermajority. They can override his veto. So we have to push. The power of the voice needs to be heard during redistricting. And people tend to, as we had talked earlier, people tend to not look at what redistricting, the impact is. The impact is who represents you. Somebody might represent you that lives 500 miles away if they want to do it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's true.
And there's no contact,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes.
They don't know you.
Yeah.
They don't know what your needs are. You cannot even reach them. So it's important for you to know. So we do an educational thing. As far as voting, we also say be an informed voter. We give them websites to do. My problem is that people just look at the name, well, I like their name, and they vote. And I'm saying this, you can actually Google whatever social media you have, you can find out what this person has said about what your interests are. Have they voted against your interests? You know, what are they talking about? Is this a person that you want to represent you other than their name?
All right. You know, we've talked about, you talked about informed voters.
Yes.
In terms of what you're doing, you talked about some educational outreach. Let's just talk about education in terms of, so education in this community falls under the rubric of social action. I go to school board meetings, and in several of those, I look around and I see a sea of red. So you all are also involved in education, and you talk about that.
Yes, as I mentioned, we have an educational development committee, and we were happy to have the opportunity to attend a recent school board meeting, to attend that meeting in person, just to stay on top of the issues and what the school board is dealing with. We had a call with a school board member about earlier in the week, and talked about JCPS priorities and how Delta might engage to support some of those priorities. And we talked about the importance of having representation on school-based decision-making councils. And of course, state law requires that you have an SBDM at the schools. But we want to make sure that we have diverse representation because our student population is diverse. So we want to make sure that we have that kind of representation on our SBDMs. So one of the things that we want to do is encourage parents to serve on SBDM committees. We also want to support Black administrators, meet with them, find out what their needs are, find out if there are some things that Delta might be able to do to support them. So those are two of the things that we want to do to be involved.
On the SDM, there is, in fact, in the state statute, at least a requirement to have some diversity on these school-based decision-making council. But when you look around at a lot of schools, it's just not happening. It's not there. African-American kids make up almost 40% of the students enrolled in JCPS, at least the last numbers I saw. It may be even more than that. So it's absolutely essential that we have more African Americans involved in the SBDM. But also, when we talk about we've had a persistent problem here in Louisville in terms of, it's really a national problem, but ours is a local problem, and that is the educational achievement gap in the school and the need for us to really be truly engaged in terms of doing that.
And that's correct. And coming from non-traditional instruction in the not so recent past, or not so distant past, we want to make sure that our kids are not left even further behind, that they're able to catch up and be on an equal setting with others in the classroom. So that's really important to us. When I was attending St. Stephen's in person prior to the pandemic, I was surrounded by Deltas who were school teachers. In fact, my pew mate is a Delta school teacher. She's now retired, but I was surrounded by them. And it was interesting in terms of watching them, in terms of their interaction, but also in terms of how they talked about their engagement and making certain that
kinds of things we need to be having going on in schools is also there. Another area in social action, which is very, very important in this current environment, given the pandemic, and that has to do with the health issue and with the vaccination program. The NAACP had what we call a vaccinator-thon at Chickasaw Park, I guess now 2 months ago.
Yes.
And one of the groups that was there with us helping that was the Deltas.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about your involvement in the health arena, and in particularly in terms of vaccination program.
We're fortunate that we have 300 members in our Louisville Alumnae chapter. So we have the membership to be able to support those kinds of activities. We have a health fair coming up on October 16th. And one of the things, we'll have people there to vaccinate attendees at the health fair and to talk to them about the importance of vaccinations. So there's so much misinformation. It's our responsibility to help to make sure that people get the facts and realize the importance of getting vaccinated, not only for their own health, but for the health of their families as well. So that's going to be a continued push for us.
And we are very fortunate to have several people that are in the health field that have worked right there firsthand on the situations in the hospitals and have actually coordinated, like Sorority, they have coordinated vaccination outposts and have actually had people come through. So I have personally been, as I'm a member of the Republic-wide advisory, or been down there, and when they were given the testing, we would go out and say, anybody, you need a test, come on in. But we do that. We seek to help, to be helpful to people.
You're saying that, really drives home the point that in just about any profession you want to look at in this community and touch, there is a Delta lady, woman, young lady there who's being impactful.
Yes.
Let's talk to me a little bit about, and I'm going to come back to you, Sharon, because you're an elected representative in a city. So we're going to talk about people running for office.
Yes.
But just in terms of what that diversity of professions and all bring to that makes Delta's the outstanding organization that it is.
The diversity of professions is critically important. As Sharon mentioned, we have sorors who are in the healthcare field, sorors who are retired teachers. And I mentioned a meeting with a school board member earlier, and one of the things that the school board member urged us to do was reach out to our membership and others, those who are retired teachers, for example, because Jefferson County Public Schools is over 600 positions short of having a sufficient level of teachers. So, one way that we can get the word out is because we've got a diverse membership. We can go to the sorors who are educators or former educators and work with them to get the word out. So just having that diversity of thought, background, and experience makes us a stronger organization.
We have doctors, we judges,
absolutely, and
definitely,
right.
Which goes with our Women on the Run, which is women running for office. How we encourage. It was a thought that came up one of my years as the social action chair. I said, that's one of the national goals is for more women to run for office and be on boards and commissions. Right. That's another area that we are not noticeable, and there's a lot of positions on boards and commissions, and now the decisions are made where? In the boardroom. Yes, and we are not there. Yeah. So, and there are decisions that affect you and affect people of color, and it's just that we need to have a voice. And so the goal for me was to say, okay, we need to get more people. Maybe they don't know what it takes or what is needed. And sometimes it's just filling out an application, so we made sure we got the subject matter experts in. And we had them in, and every year we will be doing our fourth one.
We're doing our fourth one on December 11th.
And
Women on the Run.
And since then, we have had both Sharon and I. We have joined boards. I was on the Sheriff's Review Board. I was the only female, the only person of color. As Sharon planned.
Sure, I joined the Board of Zoning Adjustment, so ending my first year with that board. And it's a direct result of the things that I learned and the people that I met by participating in the Delta-sponsored Women on the Run. So, and Sharon is absolutely correct. Sometimes people just need to be better informed on the process. So we've been very fortunate to have panels of experts from the community come and talk about how do you run a campaign, how do you get involved, how do you raise money, things like that. So we will be reaching out to you, Dr. Burse, before December.
Yes, we expand our resources.
Yes.
And like I say, it's important because the people that we actually touch, like emerge, we touch them, then they come back and say, how can we help you?
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
so you got to go outside of your knit group because there are people outside that can be helpful. You just got to know where they are, you know, and how to approach them and get them involved somewhat.
Okay. So tell me about being a city council person in the city of Shadley.
It is very interesting to be a council member because you're dealing with a population of people that have very various needs. And you have people that tend to not know what the city can do and cannot do. And our boundaries, see, Shadley's landlocked. And a lot of things that people have a concern about really is the city. Jefferson County's responsibility, but they think it's Shadley. But being a member in Shadley, you find that your needs when it comes to streets. A lot of people want speed bumps. You know, there's so many things, but if you get a speed bump, then you have to deal with the fire department, police department. You don't want speed bumps in an area that might slow them down from responding to an emergency. So there's a lot of different interests that you have to deal with, and you have to say, okay, how do we actually handle people's different interests and what is it that the city actually can do. So this is my 7th month of being a council member, and I find that really there's a lot of restrictions in the KRS, which I don't like. I'm just, when you ask me that question,
it's full of them.
It's full of them. And I'm saying, you know, like, if we all cannot just have a strategy meeting without having to let the public know and come into it.
You gotta have those eyes.
So we can't have a retreat. You know, you have people have those, you know.
You can have a retreat, you just have to give the public notice.
Yes, and they can come. Yes.
No,
but it's been eye-opening because of self-interest plus the interest of the community.
Right. You know, in both of your examples, you know, we hear a lot of people talking about let's get engaged, let's do something. With your program, what it has led to is active engagement. You know, to be on the planning board review, to be a city council member. You have doctors in the community, you got teachers in the community. It's that kind of civic engagement that really makes a real difference in a community. And so, you all are to be commended for doing that. I want to return back to something you were saying earlier, Sharon, was talking about JCPS and the vacancies that it have. In that regard is, you know, during the special session of the legislature, there's now a special provision for retired teachers to come back into JCPS.
Yes.
You know, in addition to the work that you all doing, I want to say to our listening audience, is that JCPS is looking for teachers. JCPS needs teachers. They need you as an individual to really make a difference in the lives of young folks in this community. And, I know many of them are like me, have reached the age of retirement and enjoying doing nothing. But sometimes we're called back into duty and we need to be able to do that. And so
we absolutely do. And I am not an educator by training or background. But retired educators in our chapter did reach out to me and they said, we need your help. Are you willing to volunteer to help at a school? So As a result, I volunteer 4 hours a week at the West End School, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So it's just, you feel like you're making a difference.
Right. No, every little bit that's done makes a major difference, and it takes all of us doing our part to make certain things happen.
Well, yes. In Shadley, we're doing a what you call the math and education training. We're doing that starting October the 15th. I mean, we're trying to reach out. The issue, the problem I find is that people have gotten complacent.
All right.
They want you to come to them, but they don't understand. You also have to meet us, because we need to know. And so you set up various type of communication streams, such as, you say, okay, you can Zoom, you can do a conference call, you can do whatever, the newsletter, you can do all those things. But if the people don't move, then things stay the same because you don't know what to do to be helpful. And you don't, we tend to be in a reactionary type of population, right now. We react to things instead of being in front of things, and I would like to see us get more in front of things. And that's through engagement
and that's partnerships.
Partnership. And that's a good lead into, we're in our final minute. What one thing would each of you like to leave with our audience in terms of the work that the Delta does or the impact that's going on in the community? What one thing would you like to let them with, or what challenge would you like to issue to them?
I'd like to see people, become involved. If you attend a forum, then make a commitment. When I leave this forum on redistricting, for example, I'm going to talk to 10 people about the importance of redistricting. I'm going to talk to my church members or my sorority sisters about that. So share the word and help to inform and educate people. One of the things that I want to do, and I'm sure Sharon shares this intent, is to work closer in partnership with organizations like the NAACP. There is truly strength in numbers. One of the things that the Deltas do is advocacy and letter writing campaigns, things of that nature. So we would be delighted if we were to write a letter to collaborate with the NAACP on issues, have the NAACP and Delta Sigma Theta jointly sign a letter encouraging voter registration or whatever that might be. Public forums, yes.
On redistricting. I can just say ditto to that. My thing is that be informed. Don't let, just as we have misinformation with COVID, you be informed. You do the work by saying, okay, what does this mean for me? How does this affect me? So if you know what your issues are and what your interests are, then check it out. You get ahead of things and know which direction to go to.
Yes.
Well, let me say thank you to both of you for being with us today to talk about Delta Sigma Theta and the work that it's doing. And you're being very, very impactful in the community, and we're very much appreciative of that. One of the things that I think should be a takeaway from all of you who are watching this is that when we work together, we're able to accomplish things. When we partner together, we're able to do things. And when we really work together and cooperate, we're able to lift every voice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Power in the voice.